Welcome to episode 38 of Instant Expertise Marketing. We appreciate you listening in as always. Today, Shari and I want to share our process for engaging new prospective clients. I'm Yvette Brown, co-founder of X Promos. I became an entrepreneur at 23 by starting a promotions agency with my then 29-year-old business partner, Shari Nomadi.
And I'm Shari Nomadi, the older one. Even though Yvette and I approach business from opposite ends of the spectrum, we always seem to come to the same conclusion on how we help our clients succeed. You know, one of the difficulties that we've had over the years as a service business is being able to figure out how to engage with new clients, especially when we have this proven track record in many different types of marketing programs. Where do you start? How do we convince someone who doesn't know us that they should just give us a try?
Yeah, and when you look at our business, which has spanned 31 years now, the reality is we work in a lot of different industries. Our solutions tend to be customized specific to the needs of that specific client. And we work with mostly enterprise level clients. So we know that becoming a new vendor can kind of be a hassle for them. So we really have to give new prospects a really good reason to give us a shot and start with us.
That's right. You know, we don't fit into a simple mode that aligns with what clients are used to. We use our skills to fill the gaps and boost response rates all along the customer journey.
That's totally right, Shari. And in fact, it took us years, I hate to even say how long, to get to the point of being able to articulate that. Finally, earlier this year, we actually redid our website to be able to better communicate that message to prospects and customers that come to visit there.
That's right. And now with this pandemic that hit recently, our booked business took a pretty big hit. If you've been following us for a while, you know that we pivoted to help other small, medium businesses learn how to pivot for themselves. And we built some other marketing training programs as well.
Yeah, the reality is that somehow in the middle of this pandemic, it has been a super busy year for us and we've created some amazing things. But here, now as we're coming into Q4, we have refocused our efforts on those enterprise level clients. And we're really trying to get some business in the door now and gear up for 2021.
But how do you get noticed? Well, we created a big idea and we built an offer around it. Why make an offer? Because even as a service business, it's easier for a prospective client to respond to a very specific offer. That way we can convince them to take a meeting and talk about how you can help them.
So if you build your offer right, it will work like a trial in that it delivers a high value for a reasonable cost that the prospect just can't pass up. And that then can give you the opportunity to show off what you're really great at and open the door for more opportunities to explore and build your relationship with this new client.
That's right. So what does it look like in Q4 for 2020? Well, we started by looking at what's happening in the environment. And 2020, it's really been a tough year on everyone and in more ways than just one. It's really not an ideal time to hire a new agency or really to even listen to like fresh ideas. And we know that. The vibe is more about spending wisely and adapting to the new normal.
Yeah, and so what we did is we thought about what value we could bring today to a brand new client and how it could showcase our superpowers, which, by the way, in summary, are being creative, being low maintenance, and delivering more than we promise.
That's right. And you know what? Some of our clients describe our work as magical.
And it's funny though, because the problem with being described as magical is it really doesn't help with your SEO, which is why we had to work so hard on really trying to articulate our message in the first place to get us where we are today. But that aside, back in August, the big idea hit us. It's timely. It brings value to our prospective B2B businesses. It addresses a pain point they have, and it shows that we understand their business space. And ideally and perfectly, it capitalizes on those superpowers that Shari just described inside of a trial offer. But before we went off and launched it everywhere, we used our network to get feedback. We sent out LinkedIn messages to our contacts asking them if they thought this would make a good offer. Like, hey, you're in the B2B space, you're one of my contacts. What do you think about this? Would this resonate with your organization or, the types of folks that you know based on your own experience? And to be honest, we got some really great suggestions back that helped strengthen that offer itself. And to be honest, we actually kind of unexpectedly had a number of prospects who raised their hand to say, hey, that sounds really cool. Tell me more about it.
That's right. And now we're working on that. And we are launching in earnest, having already experienced success, like Yvette said, just by asking for feedback.
Yeah, that was totally crazy. Like I said, unexpected. And that's when the light bulb went on. So in case you're curious, our offer is called the Repurposed Asset Project. We are actually offering 30 pieces of repurposed content in 30 days for $10,000. Why is it set up that way? Well, it aligns with B2B businesses who invest heavily in white papers and analyst reports. But we've seen just from our experience in the space that a lot of them aren't getting the traction from these really well-written and kind of pricey reports that they had hoped for. So what we do is we take that report and we follow our own process that repurposes that asset into a large number of thoughtful, targeted, bite-sized chunks that can actually help that prospective client exceed their goals across the enterprise from the top of the funnel to the bottom.
That's right. And we allow the prospective client to pick the type of assets that they want created. They can choose the platforms and even the business verticals that they want to target. And then when we're done, we deliver the assets back to their marketing team so that they can drop them into their social platforms, their landing pages, email nurture streams, and even their ABM programs.
Yeah. And what's funny about this is like when this idea came together, it really was sort of like this huge aha because it just made a lot of sense. And this is something that we had done for clients previously, but never really bundled it up like this. So the thing is, we're actually excellent at repurposing assets. And I didn't even know that was a superpower before, but you know what? It is something we're legit good at. Early on in our days, we kind of had this sponsorship motto. We did a lot of work with sponsorship negotiations and management. And our motto was no asset left unused, meaning we would look at the assets in a contract and we would find a place for it in that client's enterprise to use every single thing that we were offered in terms of IP and assets. But we've also done this with leftover premiums. If you've ever been to an event, oftentimes the marketing department will come home with a couple boxes full of these really cool promotional items that they had and they just didn't give them away. Well, and then they kind of sit in a storeroom. But later on, they have the need to do other programs and they don't have huge budgets for it. We've actually been very helpful in taking those types of assets and said, hey, you guys, this is great. You can use these from the top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel. You can drive engagement in many different ways by repurposing those assets. And then lastly, we kind of have done this creating content thing that speaks to different audiences across different platforms and ties right into the ecosystem of an existing client. So it really is in our blood. And I'm actually super excited that we finally have a trial offer that really showcases that crazy skill.
So, how can you create your own offer?
We really wanted to put together a few steps for you to wrap this thing up on how you can use this in your business. So, first, think about your business and what customer or client problem you can solve.
And then next, think about how you could solve that problem for them in a fairly inexpensive way so that you can show off your own superpower in that process.
Then, the next step, price that offer right for the audience so it's hard for them to say no.
And then at that point, share it with your audience, ask for feedback, and really listen to the advice and follow up with anyone interested at that point, of course.
And finally, launch your offer. Start talking to prospects about it. If you're in the sales space in particular, this literally gives you a reason to reach out to your prospect base and say, hey, we're doing this thing. We suggest putting a deadline on it because that makes it timely, and saying this quarter, this is what we're doing. Is this something you're interested in? And even what we found is that even if it's not exactly what they're looking for at that time, you have a really good shot of opening the door to a new relationship, even if it's on an entirely different project than what you are presenting to them.
That's right. And we even have a few people of those that reached out and said, check back with me on this at another date after first of the year.
Exactly.
Anyway, that's a wrap for today. One final thought is don't think that it's too late to make an impact on sales for 2020. So let's get out there and get at it. Right, guys?
Absolutely. And as always, thank you for listening. We hope you come back soon.
And if you'd like to know more about X promos or even the repurposed asset offer, visit xpromos.com.